The moment their lips touched, Stella knew she'd made the biggest mistake of her life. The restaurant fell silent. 50 pairs of eyes locked on her standing there, coffee pot still in hand, as she pulled away from the most powerful man in the city. The man who, just seconds ago, had called her utterly replaceable. What happened next would change everything. Stella Matthews wiped sweat from her brow as she balanced 3 plates along her arm. 18 hours into a double shift at Rosie's diner, her feet screamed with every step. The faded blue uniform clung to her in the summer heat, a constant reminder of how far she'd fallen. "Order up for table 7. Manny shouted from the kitchen. "I got it," she called back, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. 2 years ago, she'd been finishing her business degree with honors. 2 years ago, her mother hadn't needed experimental treatment that insurance wouldn't cover. 2 years ago, she hadn't dropped everything to care for the only family she had left. Now, at 26, she juggled 3 jobs just to keep their heads above water. Rosie's paid the best tips, which is why she never complained about the handsy customers or the manager who accidentally brushed against her in the narrow hallway to the stockroom. The bell above the door chimed. Stella glanced up and nearly dropped her tray. Everyone in Chicago knew Alexander Blackwood's face. His tech company, Obsidian Innovations, had transformed the city's skyline with its gleaming headquarters. At 34, he'd made more money than most people would see in 10 lifetimes. But it wasn't his wealth that made Stella's breath catch. It was the cold arrogance in those steel-gray eyes as he surveyed the diner like he was contemplating whether to buy it or bulldoze it. "Stella." "Table 9, her manager hissed. She hurried over, notepad ready. Alexander sat alone, designer suit making him look wildly out of place among the vinyl booths and formica tables. "Welcome to Rosie's. What can I get you?" she asked, proud that her voice didn't waver. He didn't look up from his phone. "Black coffee. No sugar. Anything else?" "Just the coffee." Still not looking at her. As she walked away, she heard him bark into his phone, "I don't care what it takes. Buy them out or bury them." When she returned with his coffee, he was arguing with someone else. "The zoning board will change their minds when I double my offer," he said, voice dripping with certainty. "Everyone has a price." Stella placed his coffee down carefully. Some sixth sense made her pause as he continued. "That neighborhood is worthless anyway. Full of people who contribute nothing to this city. Once we clear it out, we can build something that actually matters." Her hand froze. "Excuse me, which neighborhood?" He glanced up, seeming to really see her for the first time. "Westridge. Her neighborhood. Where her mother's small house stood. Where Mrs. Gonzalez ran the bodega that extended credit when Stella was short on cash. Where Mr. Peterson taught free music lessons to kids who couldn't afford them. That's where I live," she said quietly. "Then I suggest you start looking for a new place." He dismissed her with a wave. "That'll be all." Something snapped inside her. 2 years of swallowed pride, of "yes sir" and "right away" and "sorry for the inconvenience" when customers berated her for mistakes she hadn't made. "Those people you're talking about? They're nurses and teachers and mechanics who keep this city running while you sit in your tower making money off their backs." His eyes widened, then narrowed dangerously. "Do you know who I am?" "Someone who's never had to worry about choosing between medicine and food," she shot back. "Someone who thinks people are disposable." He stood slowly, towering over her. The diner had gone quiet. "You're utterly replaceable," he said, voice soft but cutting. "Everyone in this place is. That's how the world works." Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was the thought of her mother's face when she'd have to tell her they needed to move. Whatever it was, Stella did the unthinkable. She kissed him. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't planned. It was pure defiance, a way to shock him the way he'd shocked her. Their lips connected for just 3 seconds before she pulled back. The silence was deafening. Then Alexander Blackwood did something no one expected. He laughed. 3 days later, Stella was fired. "I'm sorry, honey," her manager said, not looking sorry at all. "We can't have staff assaulting customers." "Assaulting?" Stella repeated incredulously. "It was just. Clean out your locker. Your final check will be mailed." Outside, rain poured down as she clutched her small box of belongings. No umbrella. No job. No way to pay next month's rent or her mother's medical bills. As water soaked through her thin jacket, a black Bentley pulled alongside the curb. The window rolled down. "Get in," Alexander Blackwood said. "I'd rather drown," she replied. Dramatic, but unnecessary. His expression was unreadable. "I have a proposition for you." "Not interested." "It pays $50,000. Stella stopped walking. That would cover her mother's treatment and 6 months of expenses. Time to find another job. Time to breathe. "What's the catch?" she asked suspiciously. "We'll discuss it somewhere dry." Your choice of location. Against her better judgment, she got in. The coffee shop was nearly empty. Stella clutched her mug like a shield as Alexander explained his proposition. My grandmother is dying, he said bluntly. She's the only family I have left who matters. She's also old-fashioned and worried I'll die alone. She wants to meet the woman I'm supposedly dating before she passes. And you want me to pretend to be your girlfriend? Stella couldn't hide her disbelief. For 2 weeks. At my family's lake house. You'll have your own room, complete privacy when not playing your part, and $50,000 when it's done. Why me? His eyes met hers. Because you're the only person who's stood up to me in years. Grandmother would see through anyone who simpers and agrees with everything I say. So you want me to be myself? The girl who thinks you're an entitled jerk? Precisely. With one condition, no more surprise kisses. Stella felt heat rise to her cheeks. That was a momentary lapse in judgment. Was it? Something flickered in his eyes. Regardless, do we have a deal? For her mother, Stella would have made a deal with the devil himself. Fine. But I have conditions too. The lake house turned out to be a sprawling mansion on Lake Michigan. Stella tried not to gape as Alexander's driver carried her worn suitcase inside. Alexander, darling. A frail but elegant woman called from a wheelchair on the terrace. Is this her? Stella felt his hand slip around her waist, warm and steady. Grandmother, this is Stella. Stella, this is Margaret Blackwood. The old woman's eyes were sharp as they assessed Stella. Come closer, dear. My eyes aren't what they used to be. As Stella approached, Margaret took her hands. Tell me, how did you meet my grandson? They had rehearsed this. A chance meeting at a charity event. A whirlwind romance. Instead, Stella said, I poured coffee on his shoes after he insulted my neighborhood. Alexander's grip on her waist tightened painfully, but Margaret threw her head back and laughed. Finally. A girl with spine. She patted Stella's hand. He needs someone who won't let him get away with his nonsense. Later, in the privacy of the library, Alexander confronted her. What happened to our story? Your grandmother deserves better than lies, Stella replied. Besides, you hired me because I don't bow to you, remember? Something changed in his expression, a softening around the eyes. You're right. Just, try not to completely destroy my reputation. No promises. Days passed in strange domesticity. Stella spent mornings with Margaret, who shared stories of Alexander as a child, the boy who built computer programs at 8, who lost his parents at 12, who retreated into ambition to escape grief. In the afternoons, she and Alexander maintained their charade, taking walks by the lake, reading together on the terrace. Sometimes, when he thought no one was watching, she caught glimpses of a different man, one who smiled at birds, who treated the staff with quiet respect, who looked at his grandmother with genuine love. Why Westridge? She asked him one evening as they sat on the dock, feet dangling above the water. Of all the neighborhoods in Chicago, why target mine? He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. It's not personal, he finally said. The location is ideal for what we're building. A luxury development no one from Westridge could afford, she finished. Progress requires change. Progress for whom? She turned to face him. Your project would displace hundreds of families. That's not progress, it's erasure. Something flickered across his face. I never thought about it that way. That's the problem, isn't it? You never had to. The moon reflected on the lake, casting everything in silver light. For a moment, they weren't Billionaire and Waitress, just two people trying to understand each other. Show me, he said suddenly. Show you what? Your neighborhood. What I'd be destroying. The following weekend, Alexander's Bentley rolled down Westridge's main street, drawing curious stares. Stella felt strange bringing him here, like worlds colliding that were never meant to meet. This is it, he asked, looking at the modest homes and small businesses. This is home, she corrected. She took him to the community garden where her mother volunteered. To the after-school center where kids got help with homework. To Mrs. Gonzalez's bodega, where the old woman hugged Stella and eyed Alexander suspiciously. Who's this fancy man? Mrs. Gonzalez asked in Spanish. The one who wants to tear down our neighborhood, Stella replied in the same language. Mrs. Gonzalez switched to accented English. You think we are nothing because we have little money? My store has been here 40 years. I put 3 children through college from this nothing place. Alexander had the grace to look uncomfortable. I didn't realize. Of course not, Mrs. Gonzalez cut him off. Big men like you never do. As they left, Stella noticed Alexander was unusually quiet. They walked to the small park where neighborhood concerts were held every summer. My mother used to bring me here when I was little, she said. Before she got sick. We'd listen to music and eat ice cream, and she'd tell me I could be anything I wanted. What did you want to be? He asked softly. I was studying business. I wanted to open a community center with affordable daycare, job training, financial literacy classes. She smiled sadly. Then life happened. Your mother's illness. She nodded. Some things matter more than dreams. He was looking at her differently now, like he was seeing her for the first time. You gave up everything for her. Wouldn't you? For someone you love? The question hung between them as they walked back to the car. Before they reached it, a group of children ran up to Stella, surrounding her with excited chatter. Miss Stella. Are you coming to the talent show next week? She knelt down, smiling genuinely for the first time that day. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Alexander watched, something unreadable in his expression. On the drive back to the lake house, he made a phone call. Jenkins? Hold all movement on the Westridge project. Yes, indefinitely. Stella's head snapped toward him. What are you doing? Reconsidering, he said simply. The night before their arrangement was set to end, Margaret invited them to dinner on the terrace. Candles flickered in the gentle breeze as staff served courses Stella couldn't pronounce. I've been watching you too, Margaret said, eyes twinkling. Alexander, you've changed. He shifted uncomfortably. Grandmother. Let me finish. I've waited years to see you look at someone the way you look at Stella when you think no one notices. Stella nearly choked on her wine. This wasn't part of the plan. The plan was simple, pretend for 2 weeks, take the money, never see each other again. Except somewhere along the way, the pretending had become complicated. Stella, Margaret continued, would you mind if I speak to my grandson alone? Once Stella had excused herself, she couldn't help lingering near the open doors, just out of sight. She doesn't know, does she? Margaret's voice carried clearly. Know what? Alexander sounded defensive. That you're in love with her. Silence. I've never seen you fight so hard not to care about someone, Margaret continued. You've spent your life building walls, Alexander. Don't let her be the one that got away because you were too afraid to tear them down. Stella backed away, heart pounding. This wasn't real. Couldn't be real. Men like Alexander didn't fall for women like her. Did they? Later that night, a knock came at her bedroom door. Alexander stood there, looking uncharacteristically uncertain. Walk with me. The garden was lit by strings of fairy lights. They walked in silence until they reached a small gazebo overlooking the lake. I've been thinking about Westridge, he said finally. And I'm canceling the project. Stella stared at him. Just like that? Not just like that. I'm replacing it with something else. He took a deep breath. A community development center. With affordable daycare, job training, and financial literacy classes. Her dream. He remembered her dream. Why would you do that? Because you were right. About everything. He turned to face her fully. I've spent my life believing success meant building bigger buildings, making more money. But you showed me that real success is building something that matters. Alexander. I'm not finished. His voice was soft but intense. Tomorrow, our arrangement ends. You'll get your money as promised. But I need to know if there's any chance at all that what started as pretend could become something real. Stella's heart hammered in her chest. This is crazy. We're from different worlds. Are we? Or are we just two people who lost too much, too young, and built defenses to keep from losing more? He stepped closer, and this time when he touched her face, there was no audience to perform for. I'm not asking for forever. I'm asking for a chance. The moonlight silvered his features, and Stella saw not the arrogant billionaire who had walked into Rosie's diner, but the man who had listened to Mrs. Gonzalez, who had played catch with neighborhood kids, who had reconsidered everything he thought he knew. This time, when their lips met, it wasn't about defiance. It was about possibility. 1 year later, Stella stood at the podium, cutting the ribbon on the Westridge Community Center. Beside her, Alexander squeezed her hand as cameras flashed. This center belongs to all of you, she told the crowd. It's proof that when we see each other, really see each other, we can build something beautiful together. Her mother sat in the front row, healthy and smiling. Mrs. Gonzalez stood nearby, nodding approval. And Margaret Blackwood watched from her wheelchair, eyes bright with pride. Later, as they walked through the completed center, her dream made real, Alexander pulled Stella into a quiet corner. Happy? He asked. Beyond words, she replied. Good. Because I have a question. He dropped to one knee, and the world seemed to stop. Stella Matthews, you kissed me to shut me up, stayed to help your mother, and ended up saving me from myself. Will you marry me? Tears blurred her vision as she nodded. Yes. 1,000 times yes. As he slipped the ring onto her finger, she laughed. Who would have thought? The waitress and the billionaire. Not just any waitress, he corrected, pulling her close. The one brave enough to show me what really matters. And that's how a moment of defiance changed two lives forever. Sometimes the greatest love stories begin with the courage to stand up for what you believe in. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content that reminds us all that love can bridge any divide. We'd love to know, what country are you watching from? Share in the comments below.